Without having one skill you're teaching, you will be a terrible coach. And I'm just keeping it 100 because a lot of times as coaches, we try to teach everything because we know everything. So we want to throw the entire encyclopedia on top of their head. But the problem is, if you don't have one thing you're teaching them, one skill, one principle, one point that you're teaching them, then you're overwhelming your client and they won't make progress. Because at the end of the day, we're in this game to actually help people make progress, move forward, get the transformation that we want to help them get as coaches. But if we're not being effective coaches because maybe we don't know what coaching is or what does great coaching look like, then we will not make the type of impact we want to make in the world. And most importantly, we will not be able to generate the type of revenue we want to generate. So what's so great about this coaching world is this. Our goal is we want to be able to train and teach people to get them from point A to Z, while at the same time having a profitable business. Maybe you want time freedom. Maybe you want financial freedom. Maybe you want to travel the world, and maybe you want to be home with the kids more. Regardless of what you want to do, it's all going to come down to how effectively are you helping people and getting them to that next level in their business. So if this is your first time meeting me, hello, my name is Terrell Jones, and I am a business coach, and I work with you, and I'm going to show you how to make six figures as a coach. And today we're talking about what is coaching, and I'm going to show you specifically what is it and how to be a great coach using the Coaching Quadrant. So I hope you're excited about that. Now, how I really learned this is just throughout my years of trying to figure this out and wanting to kind of help people, but not knowing how to do it. I started off in this industry working as a college development coach, trying to show students how to graduate and get into their career field. However, I knew how to show you how to do a resume. I know how to show you how to get an internship, but I had no idea specifically about how to actually run a coaching business or what actually a coaching business really even was. So I struggled a long time really trying to figure out what does coaching actually look like and how to actually fulfill on that. What is an example of what it actually looks like, and how do I actually conduct a coaching session? So I spent a lot of years spinning my wheels trying to figure that out. And it took me a few years to kind of get my footing in, but it wasn't until I started learning things like the Coaching Quadrant, which I'm getting ready to share with you today, which is actually a framework that I created, and I'm excited to really kind of share with you how I became an effective coach and what does fulfilling on a coaching session actually really look like in terms of that. So I hope you're excited. I hope you're excited about that, because we're going to take this to a whole nother level, right? Now, what is this a tribute to? So this teaching one skill really comes down to this. It comes down to helping them do it over and over and over again, like mastering this one thing. And when you can help people see it from different angles, that is when they're really gonna skyrocket in terms of their level of success. And I'm gonna tell you this, I had a coach, and one of the things that they were trying to get me to be was my authentic self, try to get me to be more of what we call an extemporaneous speaker, where you can kind of just speak off the cuff. Folks say, yo, coach, like, how do you a lot of folks call me Coach T, right? So Terrell Coach T. So they say, yo, Coach T, how do you actually just speak so fluently and off the cuff, and you don't have any notes? And the reason I'm able to do that is obviously I've been doing this for a long time, but I've honed my skills over and over and over again. That gave me an opportunity or the ability to just speak off the whim like that. But I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that worked for me was when I had my coach, he worked on one skill, and the one skill was being able to know your topic so well that you can just speak off the cuff about it. So one of the things that he gave me was a deck of cards, and not a deck of playing cards, but a deck of what do you call it? The note cards, right? Blank note cards. So I had these note cards, and what he did is he said, okay, well, write like dictionary words on a note card. So I wrote them out, all the note cards. I just basically chose random words out of the dictionary and wrote them on note cards. And I took that one skill, and day after day after day, I would pick a word, and then I would just talk about my topic. Pick a word, talk about my topic. So if you focus on trauma, life coaching, business, health, the youth, students, fitness, trauma, whatever it is, whatever you focus on, you can pick any words and then use a word and then figure out how to talk about your topic using that word in a sentence. And that's all it was. What it allowed me to do was have a focal point that allowed me to just go off the cuff and just start talking about it. And because I understood it, because I had something to use, because I realized how this can help me, that I did it over and over and over, and it really helped me become a better speaker. So anyway, I'm gonna share with you what that really looks like, because that example that I gave you makes a big difference in terms of understanding people learning one skill. All right, so with that being said, let's jump into it. Like, how does the world best do this, right? How does a Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, how does he get great at a skill, free throws or whatever, right? So Coaching Quadrant. So there's 4 things you want to have when you're looking to fulfill on a coaching session. Your goal is to teach them in different ways that's gonna unlock their potential, and it's gonna unlock their motivation. So I'm gonna go through all of it and how does this play. So it's a few things. First thing is principles. So what is the principle that you want them to actually have? So you ever been listening to somebody and you didn't really understand the point of what it was, like, or you might have sat through a lesson or a seminar, or you listened to a training, like, okay, cool, but what was the point of this video? Like, what I didn't understand what the point. They didn't do a good job of explaining the principle behind it. What is the takeaway that you need? So to become a good coach and an effective coach, you really have to show people what the idea, what's the big idea, what's the big principle, what's the big point that you want them to take away from this. Okay, so always have that, and know that if you're going into your coaching sessions, regardless of how long you're coaching somebody for, every coaching session you need to have a point or principle. Second, stories. Stories are important because that's going to give people context. That's going to give people, that's going to help people really connect. And that's the word you may want to write next to stories, is connect. You want to help people connect with that, because as they connect, they are more motivated to actually do what you want them to do, right? Stories, they say facts tell, stories sell. But that's really true, because it gets you emotionally charged. You can tell your clients what to do all day, and if they don't feel emotionally connected to what you're saying, at the end of the day, yeah, I heard what you said, I got information, but I don't feel emotionally charged enough to actually do anything about it. How to change that is through stories. When you give people stories, it changes that, okay? Examples will help people really get the full picture of what you're talking about. Maybe you'll give an analogy, maybe you'll give a simile, maybe you'll give an example of how somebody else uses something, right? And maybe a celebrity uses something, or example in the world, in the business world, or maybe, something that happens in nature, or just find a way to make a connection. Help them see the same connection that you see, but give it to them in a different way, so they say, that makes sense. And it really doesn't matter what the example is, but try to make the example relevant so they actually get what the principle is. Okay? And then steps. So what you want to do is also, from a steps perspective, is obviously this is what most coaches know how to do. Right? They know how, they say, okay, well, how do you do this is this, and you do that, and you do that, and you give people steps. Now, let me share with you what's so important about this coaching quadrant. Is your goal to be an effective coach is you should really be doing all of these. So let me share with you how this actually works. So the middle is 100%, meaning your goal is you actually want to get in the middle. This is where you really want to be in terms of how you actually coach. Meaning you want to be touching on all of these, depending on how long your coaching session, whatever it is. You want to make sure people are constantly reminded of the point. Make sure that you tell a few stories. Make sure that you give a few examples. Make sure that you're giving steps to achieve whatever the principle is. What I've noticed that if coaches that are not effective, they're not using this quadrant effectively, meaning they're too heavy on some of these sides. So in the middle is 100%, which is where you want to be. And then on the outskirts are 0. So it's kind of like, reverse, right? In terms of how you typically think of a graph. So what I see is that we get a lot of people, you might be heavy on, let's say you might be heavy on, if this is steps, let's say you heavy on the steps, meaning you heavy on the steps, let's say you're about 80% on the steps, but you're and actually this would be good, right? Because you're closer towards the middle, right? So 80% on the steps and let's say 80% on stories. That's good. But what you might see is a lot of people who are 80% on the steps, but they're 20% on the story. You feel what I'm saying? Which means that they're all the way out here. I could teach you steps, but I don't care about it. You feel what I'm saying? Like you teaching me, thank you, but I'm not emotionally charged to do anything about it because you light in the story. So your goal is to get as close to the middle as possible. Or you ever seen people who give you principles, right? So maybe they're heavy on the principle, let's say, or maybe they do a pretty good job on a principle, but they're light in stories, right? But they're light in stories. Same kind of thing. Okay, I get the point, but I'm not, but I don't really care about it, right? Or I'm not emotionally charged. Or you see people who are, maybe they don't give you, maybe they light in steps, but they're heavy, on examples. Does that make sense? So your goal is, you don't want to be in these outskirts. This is the moral. You don't want to be in the outskirts. This is where you want to live, where you have a healthy dosage of stories, steps, examples, and principles. So that's what we call the Coaching Quadrant. And that is going to allow you to be more effective as a coach, be more successful as a coach, and really just help people understand what they need to do, how to do it. They're excited to actually do the work, and they have context to, okay, this is how I'm supposed to do it, and this is what it's supposed to look like. All right, so I'm glad that this is helpful. Definitely subscribe, give this some likes if you're excited about it. Also, if this is the type of stuff that you're like, yes, I love this coaching. I actually have a video that shows you specifically, well, what is an example of a coaching session. So go ahead and check out the video, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, let's go.